Deadpool 2's almost upon us, and we're ready to see what the foul-mouthed merc is gonna do this time. Things get serious when Cable arrives, so the Man in Red forms his own super team. But what else might happen? Well, some of these theories are downright crazy, like Deadpool, but that just gets us more excited about the possibilities. Before we count them down, be sure to click on that subscribe button and hit the little bell to stay up to date with everything Screen Rant.
We're hoping that this change of scene will help straighten them out.
You hungry? That's a silly question, isn't it? Look at you.
Kid Apocalypse. One of the main plot points of the Deadpool sequel is Cable's hunt for a young boy. Being from the future, it's likely Cable knows a few things and really wants Julian Dennison's character out of the picture. If you don't know who Dennison is yet, check out Taika Waititi's hunt for the Wilder People. The film's promotional material has been pretty shy about revealing too much about Dennison's character. There isn't even a character name revealed on most internet casting sheets, meaning his identity is likely being kept under utmost secrecy. So who could he be? Cable's time-altering crusade to hunt the kid shares many parallels with a story arc in Uncanny X-Men. In that tale, many mutants come together to debate the moral dilemma of taking a kid out, a kid who turns out to be Apocalypse resurrected. Kid Apocalypse, on the other hand, was brought to life from the DNA of Apocalypse and was brought up to be a righteous hero. We know the X-Force are part of this film, and that Dennison's character has some set of fire-related mutant powers. Combined with the secrecy and the introduction of Cable, it does seem that bad news is coming for this kid.
Uncle Ben?
Here.
Over here, Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben was in the teaser. For Deadpool 2's big reveal, a short film was released right before Logan. It featured a hysterical scene that had Deadpool running into a phone booth and changing into his signature red costume. Unlike Clark Kent though, Wade Wilson struggled getting his super suit on. He took so long in fact that the old man he was intentionally going to save in the back alley was shot and killed. Deadpool investigates the old man and snags his ice cream, but the internet began to investigate who the old man was too. Many people on the internet began theorizing that he was in fact Uncle Ben from the Spider-Man stories. Deadpool and Spider-Man are actually pretty close in the comics, having plenty of crossovers. Deadpool's design is partially inspired by Spidey's costume. Deadpool 2's director, David Leitch, saw the theory and actually added some fuel to the speculation, stating the theory was very interesting and that people should continue to theorize who the old man was. What's interesting here is that he didn't say no, it's not Uncle Ben, and also implied that the old man is actually somewhat important. Perhaps this will be our first indirect studio crossover for the Marvel films.
Systems of the weak. They've ruined my world. No more.
More Psylocke? Psylocke was introduced to fans on the big screen in 2016's X-Men Apocalypse. She was played by Olivia Munn in that movie, and despite being one of the Four Horsemen, she made a very sudden getaway at the end of the film, all but guaranteeing her return to the X-Men universe. We know that X-Force are in the movie, and we're super stoked to see them on the big screen, even more so now that we know Terry Crews is involved. In the comics, Cable is a founding member of the X-Force, and on his team, he had none other than Wolverine, who recruited both Deadpool and Psylocke in Uncanny X-Force to take out the previously mentioned resurrection of Apocalypse. Obviously, this lineup changes in the film, but all is not lost. If Kid Apocalypse does come into play, perhaps Psylocke, one of the members of the X-Force, is in fact the secret to their success. Even though X-Men Apocalypse took place in the 80s and Deadpool 2 is modern, Cable's time traveling could solve that problem. Here's hoping she at least gets a name drop, but an on-screen cameo or a supporting secret role would be even better.
Listen to me carefully, Kim. Your mother and I are gonna be taken.
Deadpool 2 is really taken to. Yeah, this one's really meta, and with any other franchise out there, meta wouldn't make any sense. But seeing as this series is based on a fourth wall breaking anti-hero who knows he's in a film, it kinda works. In short, Deadpool 2 is just gonna be taken to. In the first Deadpool film, Wade actually wakes up from a bad dream and uses the plot of the first Taken film as his excuse. He cites that Liam Neeson's daughter in the film ends up getting taken by none other than Wade himself, and that Liam Liam Neeson wasn't having any of that. But later on in the film, Vanessa does get kidnapped. It's almost as if Deadpool's call out of the franchise resulted in his girl getting taken. Now, what if that subtle connective tissue carries over to the next film? Wade acknowledges that they made 3 Taken films. What if Deadpool 2 follows in part some of the plot points of Taken 2? The Taken films largely repeat the same plot, so what if Vanessa is taken again and Wade brings up the movies yet again? In any other franchise, this would be enough to put people off, but seeing as this is Deadpool, it's so crazy that it makes sense.
My name's Cable. I'm here for the kid.
What? The kid?
Move or die.
Cable is a messiah. In the trailer for Deadpool 2, we see Julian Dennison's unnamed character standing fearsomely in a burning church. By the looks of it, he's the one who started the Inferno. While that's interesting, it's what's going on inside the church that's more interesting. On the walls, a series of posters and banners can be seen, and what they tell us could have implications for the story. In the comics, specifically in the 37th century, Nathan Summers is cured of his techno-organic virus by a group called the Askani Clan, a group that took the exploits of the X-Men and other special figures and brought them up to a religious cult-like status of worship. Thanks to time travel, much like the one Cable uses, this belief started spreading in our own present. So let's go back to the burning church. We know Cable is a time traveler, and one of the banners on the burning wall features a character who looks an awful lot like Cable. Other identifiable pieces on the banners are the statements "pure blood," "prepare yourself," and "the end is nigh." So it's safe to say this church isn't mutant friendly. With Cable featured on the wall and being raised in the Askani Clan, what if he's raising supporters in the present who would see him as some sort of prophet?
Read these in your spare time? Oh yeah, Charles, we got ourselves an X-Men fan.
Deadpool takes place in the comics from Logan. In the insanely good Logan film, Hugh Jackman's grizzled character finds a collection of X-Men comics while on his road trip. He claims that fans of the team's heroics ended up making comic book stories based on what they saw and greatly exaggerated them, hence why Wolverine has the yellow costume in the comics and not in the films. But who is the auteur of these comics? According to Reddit, the mecca for great internet theories, it's actually Deadpool himself who is the mastermind behind the fictionalized comic book stories. Noting Deadpool's passion for blowing things out of proportion, the theory states that this is how Negasonic Teenage Warhead is around, despite Logan telling us that no New Mutants were born after the early 2000s. It also explains why Colossus looks like his Logan comics counterpart, and how both Logan and Gambit go from the 2010s to the 80s in X-Men Origins Wolverine. When it comes to the films, Deadpool is merely adapting these comics to the big screen, which explains not only his narrations and fourth wall breakings, but why the series is so over-the-top crazy. It's all part of Wade Wilson's crazy mind. He is aware he's in a film after all.
You have Wade Wilson to thank for this.
Vanessa's identity. The first Deadpool film saw Wade Wilson falling in love with the equally crazy yet perfect for him Vanessa Carlyle. Many people rightly assumed that Vanessa would eventually become Copycat, a Marvel character and member of the X-Force. We know X-Force are going to be an important aspect of Deadpool 2, but we may have been wrong in assuming that Vanessa is Copycat, despite the two characters sharing the same name. So who could she be? In the comics, Deadpool is courting none other than Lady Death herself. There's just one problem. Thanos is also trying to win her over at the same time. Now, Thanos isn't in the Deadpool film despite Josh Brolin's involvement, but there's no reason to assume that Vanessa isn't deaf. Deadpool is attracted to her, yet is diagnosed with terminal cancer a year after they met, and on the same exact day Wade proposes to Vanessa. That's just a cool coincidence, and something that's not too crazy for Death to do. Her initial reaction to Wade being alive is actually anger, not sadness. It also explains how she survived the fall at the end of the first film, where she was thrown off of the helicarrier in a glass tube. Perhaps, in the end, Wade wins over Death, his one true love.
I'm Cable, and I'm from the future, and I like blowing shit up.
Pew 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 pew.
Cables. We're super hyped to see Josh Brolin's interpretation of Cable on the big screen. So far, he's impressed fans from the trailers and the posters alone, proving to be an inspired casting choice for the time-traveling mutant. But what if Josh Brolin is set to play more than one character in Deadpool 2? Specifically, what if he's playing another version of Cable? Created by Deadpool co-creator Rob Liefeld, Cable's evil doppelganger was taken by the previously mentioned Askani Clan and trained to become the next vessel for Apocalypse himself. But things never never got that far, and Stryfe, as he's called, went on to become the main antagonist in the Messiah War arc. We've talked about how the Askani Clan, Apocalypse, and Hope Summers might all fit into the overall narrative of the film, and this piece of the puzzle also seems to make perfect sense. The theory also gets an extra boost of plausibility thanks to Josh Brolin's own Instagram page, where he shared a picture of Cable screaming at his own reflection in a cracked mirror. Can you say foreshadowing? Perhaps Stryfe is who we've seen in most of the trailers, and the one who wants to hunt down Dennison's character, while Cable is there to save him. What do you think about that?
Your time's up.
Well, that's just lazy writing.
Hope Summers will play a role in the plot. We mentioned that Julian Dennison could be playing the big screen adaptation of Kid Apocalypse. Well, due to the mysterious nature of his character, there's of course more than one possibility surrounding him. There's a good chance that Dennison could be Hope Summers instead. The first clue comes from Cable himself. He looks insanely cool with his CGI arm and his glowing eye, but there's something that stands out on his person. He has a teddy bear attached to his belt. What gives, Cable? Her name also appeared in the telephone booth in the first Deadpool 2 teaser short. In the comics, Cable ends up acting as a sort of protector to Hope Summers. Hope's a girl on paper, but on the big screen, anything can be changed. Cable acted as a protector of sorts. For Hope, and him going back in time to hunt the kid could also be a front for his real mission. On paper, Cable went back in time from his future to protect Hope from the Phoenix Force. While it's unlikely they'll be involved in the plot, the concept of someone going after the kid and having Cable as a protector instead of assassin also makes sense.
I'm gonna wait out here, okay? It's a big house. It's funny that I only ever see two of you. It's almost like the studio couldn't afford another X-Man.
Deadpool's the villain. What if Josh Brolin's Cable isn't the villain of the film? Heck, what if he's not even the only clone in Deadpool 2? This crazy theory might actually have a bit of credence to it, and thanks to an event in Deadpool 1, might actually make a bit of sense. The theory states that Deadpool is in fact the villain of the movie, an evil clone of Deadpool. In the comics, Cable and Deadpool have a great friendship built on a rocky foundation. It's likely that the film will lead to this, paving the way for the real villain. Thanks to Deadpool losing his own hand in the first film, the theory goes on to say that an evil Deadpool clone will arise from that DNA and be the one who's causing all the problem. In the comics, there actually is an evil Deadpool clone that's assembled Frankenstein style from all the bits and pieces he's lost over the years. Having Deadpool's discarded hand be the cause for all the problems in the sequel totally fits the tone of the film and the character. If they can have two Wolverines and Logan and have kept that secret in the marketing, there's no reason to see why they can't do that again.
They probably won't even make a 3.
Yeah, why would they? Stop it too. You killed it.
That's it for now, everyone. Which Deadpool 2 theory do you think is the craziest on this list? Do you have a theory of your own that you like? Which one do you hope comes true in the movie? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in your playlist every day. Thanks for watching.